Our house 2 streets over got hit by a Scott missile. My mom's hand pulling us out and she was crying.
If you're angry, good. If you're upset, you're good. If you feel like you deserve better, good. That's exactly where you should be. The worst thing is living a very average, mediocre life. People are getting screwed, buying the wrong houses.
Would you recommend renting or buying?
Dude, getting into nightclubs teaches you a lot of things later on in life.
Her bedroom was right above this.
Palisade's not going to be the same once it's all done, okay? And there are people who are 40, 50, 60 years old and they still don't know their passion or what they're good at. So my advice would be just...
Arvin, welcome.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to just jump right into it, and instead of me even trying to introduce you, who is Arvin Haddad?
I'm a real estate enthusiast, okay? Residential real estate enthusiast. I sell homes as an agent, ultra luxury homes. I am an analyst. I'm a critic. I critique homes like people critique companies or art or wine or Apple stocks or performance of a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I'm very analytical in that way, and some say I have a good eye as far as aesthetics, so I do that. And I've done I'm very enthusiastic about like prop techs, so property technology companies.
Okay.
So kind of everything residential real estate.
Right. So that's how I know you from YouTube, from that world, and that's where I stumbled upon your channel and enjoy real estate myself. So that's where I think this all started, the genesis story. But I want to go back because, I mean, there's so much there with real estate and stuff, and we'll get there. That's why we're here, actually. So we are in a house on the hills, and it's and wanted to start things off here. Yeah. And then we'll be bouncing around LA today. So
sounds fun.
But let's go back, like before real estate. I understand you had an interesting childhood.
So I was born in Tehran, Iran.
Yeah.
During the Iran and Iraq War, and I moved to United States when I was 14. My mom was the only one who moved with us. My dad always stayed, and he couldn't speak English, so he stayed in Iran. And so I was here in the high school years with my mom and my brother. Mm-hmm. And then once I got into the university, I got the acceptance letters. My mom left the country too. So I've been living on my own since I was 17, till I got married.
Do you remember your childhood?
Yeah, I have a pretty good long-term memory, but not a good short-term memory. But I remember a lot from my childhood. And beside the fact that like you hear like it's a kind of I was born into the war. Like I didn't even know what peace was before the war, till the war stopped, right? So the war had already started between Iran and Iraq in 1980, and I was born in 82. So I had an amazing childhood. Like, I mean, that was kind of like the standard like situation, right? So like when you're born into it, that's just, it is what it is, right? So, but beside the war, I had a fantastic childhood, a great memory.
Do you remember war bombs going off, missiles?
Yeah. I mean, like our house, the street over, our house 2 streets over, I believe, got hit by a Scott missile.
What's that?
It's a missile. So it was actually Al Hussein 2 missiles. It was a modified Scott B missiles that Saddam Hussein had purchased, and gotcha. They don't have any accuracy. So you kind of just pick the city,
It's like a spray and pray.
It was a psychological thing. Like I think they had a 1 kilometer radius of accuracy. So it got hit, and I remember like my dad had given me one of my earliest childhood memories is like hiding under a couch, and I just remember the view of my mom's hand pulling us out, and she was crying, and me and my brother were under a couch hiding, and the sirens were going off, and like I think something happened there where my dad had a talk with me, and he took us to the rooftop. He took me to the rooftop of the house while the sirens were going off. Because I think it was a Friday, which Fridays are holidays in Iran, weekends actually. So he was sleeping and the sirens went off, and I told my dad, hey, we got to go to the basement. And he said, no, it's like nothing's going to happen. And I was like, no, we have to go to the basement. So I started freaking out. I was like, no, let's go to the roof. Like, let's go to the rooftop.
Wow.
I want to show you, like, nothing's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, like, you want to go to the roof? So he got up ready, and then he took me upstairs to the roof, and the sirens were going off, and the missile attack had already happened. So you could, before, while we were going up, you could hear the scream, like, explosions and everything as we were going up. And then when we came out, you could see like smoke coming up from parts of the city. Wow. But Tehran is an enormous city. It's a really, really big city. So we came out, and then he's like, do you see how many houses are out there? And it's like, Tehran is pretty much looks kind of like Mexico City, if you've ever been, but there's a lot of 4 or 5 story homes, at least at that time. Now it's more like 10-story homes. But you could see like smoke coming out from like 10 locations, right? And he was like, do you see that like the chances of a bomb hitting our house is like really, really low?
Right.
Like it's not gonna happen. Like it's not gonna be us. And I believed them. I was like, okay, good.
Which, in hindsight, that sounds pretty scary. Like there's sirens going off, and
but
there's still a chance.
Yeah, there's still a chance, but it was like it made sense to me that like, okay, it's, like as far as you can see is a city, and only 10 places, right? So it was like when our neighbor's house got hit. There was a lot of girls that lived in our building, and they would normally everyone would go to the basement, right? That was like the core area everyone would go to. And I remember the sirens would go off, and whenever the sirens would go off, it was a fun commotion for me. So it was like, ooh, okay, we got something to do. Like, there's the missiles are coming. Yeah. It was just like, PlayStation, right? Like it was the exciting thing that would happen.
I don't think you maybe you weren't fully connected with the reality of it, because it is. It's
at that age, it was the most exciting thing. There were 2 channels on TV, Channel 1 and Channel 2, and nothing else, right? And those channels were not exciting.
Right.
They played cartoon from 5 to 6 some days in the week. Okay, that was it.
And there's no PlayStation.
There's no PlayStation. Yeah. So the sirens going off is like the highlight of the day, right? Or even the week or the month, because it's not like they're bombing every day.
Right.
So I go downstairs to the basement, and I see like 7, 8 girls, like all around the same age, from like 2-year-old to 9, 10-year-old, and parents are out, right? Parents are working, whatever. Some moms are there, and they're all like in a corner of the room, screaming, crying, and I'm this like little chubby kid come into the center of the room, and I'm laughing at them. I'm like, nothing's gonna happen, there's like no like. Don't worry about it. You guys are a bunch of babies. And then you hear this sound like, and then huge explosion. Wow. And it was like lifted, imagine, from right here, thrown against the wall and dropped on the floor.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like it was very close. Wow. Like the shock, like was the glasses. Right. We were in the basement, so we didn't have glasses.
So these are missiles, not bombs?
These are missiles, yeah.
Okay, but there's still shock waves with that.
Oh yeah, they would take a building down. They would take one building down.
Right.
So it's that was like the craziest thing, and then also like watching the missiles fly at nighttime. So it would be like that was another kind of a hobby. But beside those, we had a great childhood. I mean, there was a huge generation of kids being born after the Iranian Revolution. So there were so many kids in the streets. There were hundreds of kids in each street, and we would just do our homework after school. All the kids would be in the street, in the backyard, playing different games. It was just such an active, fun, pure childhood in many ways that it was really pleasant. Like I mean, I don't think I'm scarred.
I mean, that would leave a lot of us very traumatized, and it sounds like you.
There was only one time that I thought maybe I'm traumatized. I lived in Spain. I lived in Madrid for like 6 months. And while we're in Madrid, we went to Valencia. There's a fire festival they have, like firecrackers. So during that time, and it was so intensely loud, at some point I found myself in the trunk of a car, just like with my hands on my ears, where I was just like, I think I had a panic attack, just how loud and everything was.
Right.
That was the only time where I kind of freaked out from the noise and everything. But overall, I would say great childhood, great parents, a lot of different classes as far as education goes, good educational system, good value structure.
And when did you come back to?
I started high school in the United States.
So high school, but prior to that,
we visited the United States many times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when was your? Because I mean, how I know you is not only a content creator, YouTuber, but also successful real estate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So with those two, pillars, I'm really interested in what you did to become that, and that's why I wanted to go way back.
I did everything. So like I tried so many different jobs. I think I once counted 20 different jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before getting into residential real estate brokerage.
Right.
But yeah, I did everything. I mean, from being like moving patients at Kaiser Hospital when I was 14, teaching Windows 95 to Japanese students when I was 14, to being a bank teller for World Bank. I think it was called World Bank. I think they got bought out when I was 16. Labor construction work, lifeguard.
Anything before? What was like your first side or job, or did you have a lemonade stand? What was
first paid job? It was teaching Windows 95 to Japanese kids.
Whoa.
Because I couldn't speak English and they couldn't speak English, but there was there were like 3 to 5 year old Japanese kids at this Japanese English Institute in Bay Area.
Okay.
So the Japanese kids parents would send their kids to America to learn English. So there was an American software that would teach you English, but you had to learn how to use the computer first. So I would put my hand over their hand on top of the mouse, and I would just move their hand and teach them how to open up files, delete files, move stuff. So it was like a kind of a Windows 95 expert.
So you're in IT.
I'm in IT.
I was in IT too, so we share that. Yeah, I was in tech.
I'm a tech guy,
life.
yeah.
Okay. Did you stay in tech after that, or
I do prop tech. I mean, I'm very interested in technology. So that was like an actual paid job, and I was getting paid $7.25 an hour, which was, I thought it was a lot at age 14.
Yeah.
Many, many different jobs since.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most interesting one that you've had?
I think the most shocking one that I realized I was really good in sales, because I had no idea I was good in sales. No one had told me. I'd never sold anything. I was studying at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo Engineering School, and I was studying at the time I was studying civil engineering, and I wanted to find a job in construction, contractor, to learn kind of some basics of civil engineering and maybe flip homes one day, whatever. But the dot-com collapse had just happened, and the economy of the Bay Area was in shatters because it was tied to tech, obviously, and so I couldn't find any job. And the only company or job that would take you was car dealerships.
I've sold cars too.
You sold cars, yeah.
We have a lot.
You do,
when
yeah.
I was researching you,
Okay,
we have a lot in common. So it's funny. Very, very different lives, but also very similar. So
my someone told me, I found you a job. It was great. They're like, it doesn't pay, but you can sell cars. Commission, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I think I was 18, heavily acne face, and it was a Mitsubishi car dealership on Stevens Creek in Bay Area.
Okay.
And in my first 2 weeks, I sold 15 cars.
Whoa, that's a lot. I think my best month, I did it for 6 months. I think my best was 9.
No,
I was selling Hondas, not Mitsubishi, so a little easier to sell Honda Accord.
Yeah, Hondas were Mitsubishi. You had to find your angle, right? It's not a no-brainer.
Right.
But yeah, I think I was regularly selling over 25 cars a month.
Wow, crushing.
But I wasn't selling the right cars. I was selling the cars that I liked. Okay, so I couldn't, like, I wouldn't go sell a used car. I'd be like, and that's where the money was.
Right.
Right. Like, if you want to make money as a car salesman, you got to go find a car. You should know the cars, which one they bought really cheap, what the margin is on it, right?
Yep.
And that's how you make money in car. But you don't selling new cars. I think you would get like a 300 or 400 like bonus or something beside minimum wage. They had an equation that worked together.
Same. It was like after 8 cars, you got, you know, $100 a car.
Yeah.
Times the 8.
Yeah.
You know, and then once you get to the next tier, you got 125 per car. You got your minimum wage, which was like your draw.
Yeah.
So it wasn't strictly commission.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I thought it was a lot of money because I too was 18. So I was, you know.
I didn't make that much money with that job because I couldn't get myself to sell crappy cars.
Yeah.
I just liked like the nice ones, right?
What's the nice one?
It was the Montero I liked, the Montero.
SUV?
SUV.
Okay.
I liked I think it was a Lancer and the Eclipse at the time.
Yep.
Was very popular.
Yep.
It was a twin turbo version, I remember, I think.
I flipped my mom's Mitsubishi Mirage
when
I was in high school. Said it was a deer. Said it was a deer that came out. But I remember swerving. It's front wheel drive, and I went off the road a little bit, and the next thing you know, I was damn thing. But I'm very Mitsubishi, drove that for a
So
while.
I was just super excited about these cars, and I guess the excitement just translated. And then I was like, I was literally like, imagine like Bay Area summer, 110 degrees, standing outside, waiting for someone just walk into the lot and then attacking them, right?
Yep.
So I hated the job. It was a horrible, but it was an eye-opening that was like, okay, I'm good at this. Like, I can sell. Like, that was a big, and I was like, obviously I never sold cars after that summer, but it kind of always directed my business and sales after that. Almost everything I did after that, I sold engineering equipment to factories, like sales engineering, like technical sales. And then homes, and then I did retail business, I did fashion distribution, I did a lot of different types of jobs. But I think that was a really big eye-opening, and I think my advice would be like, and there are people who are 40, 50, 60 years old and they still don't know their passion or what they're good at. I guess there are two different things. First of all, what you're naturally good at, right? And then what your passion is. It's like, if you find what you're naturally good at, it would push you in a direction where you are kind of getting a satisfaction of monetary rewards for what you do. It might not be your passion, right? But because you have the luxury because you're making money, you have the luxury to explore the finances to explore, to find your passion, you have a better chance of finding your passion. Right? So I think, and you only find that out by trying.
Yes.
Just keep trying different jobs, different things till just process of elimination. And I think I'm very lucky to have found my
So when
niche.
so you had a lot of hustles as a kid, and then once you found sales, do you think that's what kind of walked you down that path, or did you still bounce around after?
So I hated car selling, just selling crap. I hated selling crap, and I was like, okay, what do I like to? Like, I thought about selling art. I liked engineering. I mean, I was good at engineering. I was good at math. I was good at physics. I have a very analytical mind, as you can imagine. So selling automation equipment to factories was interesting, but again, I didn't enjoy working for someone else. So I think you got to find your people. I think that's really, really important. So like the kind of the technicians on the line working these, and the engineers were not necessarily my people, right? They were not like, I couldn't connect with them, right? I couldn't connect with them on a technical level. They were looking more for like a nerd who was like really passionate for that product, and I wasn't passionate about the product, and it showed. So you again, process of elimination of the like thing. So you kind of find what you're good at, right? So you connect with those people who have the similar energy, similar things that they like, and then when you speak, it's music to their ear. Right.
It doesn't feel like work. I think that we just talked about this, or Ikigai. Have you heard of this?
No.
Ikigai is it's where it's like 3 circles, like the MasterCard logo is.
Yeah.
You have, I think, 3. It's like what you're good at, what makes money, and what you're good at, what makes money, and then there's one more, but I'm blanking. But anyways, you just try to find all that. And I think that life is an experiment balancing to finding that thing. Because I was in tech. I love tech when it's the right tech. But if the program, the software, whatever, is doing something that's not exciting, even though the code behind the scenes isn't that different, then, it's still tech. It actually impacted me. And same with selling cars. I sold, my first car was the Honda S2000, a sports car.
That's good.
And I was like, this is awesome, because I liked it. It was a convertible.
I had a Ford Escort I called S2000 just to make myself feel better.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone though that's struggling to find their thing, their passion? They're stuck in the 9 to 5. Maybe they want to be out. They want to do something else. How do they branch out?
For me, I can only do what I love. Okay, and that's really important. Is I've realized that I work way harder, and it's not even work. It's just what I want to do. Right? It's completely intuitive as far as like I want to wake up. All I'm thinking is that. Right? So. Really focusing on that and not really worried about making money. Now, I totally understand in the beginning, you need to pay bills, right? And that's why finding your skill set, which I said it earlier, you have to try different things. You would not know what you're good at naturally till you try different things. No one's going to tell you, and most people won't know. So you got to actually put yourself in that position to try. So my advice would be just, if you're really young, use the summer internships, right, to experiment completely different jobs. And what I can say is that when you find something you're good at, it's so obvious, right, that you would know. So if you're thinking you're good at it, you're not.
Right.
Okay? You would know when you find what you're good at. It would be so absolutely obvious to you.
You light up.
Yeah,
I think your inner child comes
Yeah.
out. You're bursting.
Yeah.
Work doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. No, it absolutely, it would be extremely obvious.
Yeah.
So just try till you see that spark that it just lights up your day and you're like, okay, this is it. You would know right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And your parents, were they motivational to you into finding your thing?
No.
No?
No, my parents did not. There was just level of my dad had an engineering degree. My mom was highly educated. So there was just kind of like a standard that it just was unspoken that you have to be at least better than us.
Okay.
My parents were very hands-off.
Okay.
Very hands-off as far as just very broad principles. My dad speaks, maybe each time he would give me advice would be like 5 words, but it would be really good 5 words, it
Less
would be
is more.
Yeah, so he would listen to you and for half an hour, 45 minutes without saying, and then he would, give you one sentence and he will walk away and you're like he listened.
A philosopher or something?
He's really good at, he's a very wise man. So he's just gives you he finds the basic core element and just says it in the perfect words to you, so you just kind of opens up your eyes. And then I think both my parents' philosophy was that life is the best teacher.
What about your first job as an industrial engineer?
So after I graduated university, I got an amazing job. It was actually the highest paying job offered to any engineering degree in our university, and it had the best perks. It was, I think, base was 75, with total package being close to $100,000, and this is in 2006.
Okay.
Or 2005, 2006.
It's like $150K this.
Yeah,
right.
It was an amazing package. They gave you a brand new car. They gave you a gas card. They pay for your internet at home. Obviously, all your meals were if you were with customers. And the best part is that you had to go through an 8 months training program. So, and they would pay for your housing, and you would just basically pocket the whole money.
Wow.
It was paid. And the best part was that the job I graduated in December, the job didn't start till the summer. So I had 6 months to just do whatever I wanted to do, so I had to leave. And then when I got that job, after the training, they will ask you to pick 3 different locations. You could go anywhere in the United States, and you give them 3 options. They will pick one for you.
Okay.
So I picked Boston, New York, and LA, and I got Boston, my first choice. I'd never been to Boston, and then I moved to Boston, and it was, I love Boston. I think it's a fascinating city. It's probably the most like you get a very European vibe as far as architecture. It looks so much like London. It kind of feels like they didn't realize how big the country is when they moved, so they started building really like narrow, like England and Europe.
Yeah, there's a lot of land.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's a big country. So but the aesthetics of it is just a beautiful, beautiful.
I like that. I think we should build more European cities instead of like just sprawling out like Texas.
Yeah, it has
lot utilization, right?
Well, the lot utilization is pretty weak on those because you don't get basically townhouses. Right, but. I think just the energy of the city, how small it is, you can walk the whole city, was amazing. But the job was just, I did not, again, fit in. I was coming back from 6 months of living in Madrid. I had grown my hair and become a bit of a hippie. And then when I moved to, Boston, it was such a different vibe. Actually, the main problem was that the job was not in Boston. I lived in Boston, but it was, central Massachusetts. And central Massachusetts is very different than Boston. And I was trying to sell like top of the line Ferraris of PLCs and sensors, proximity sensors and computers for automation to these mom and pop shops who their jobs were being outsourced to China. And I was trying to sell them these really expensive equipment who were like amazing if you had the finances, and I just didn't fit in with them. It was a different type of a culture there, and I was in line with the international scene in the Boston culture, Worcester as they call it, Worcester. That's where my territory was in Massachusetts, so didn't quite work out. Yeah, I quit the job and I've never worked for anyone since then.
So that's your last
first and last. And that's the thing is like I make decisions very quickly and I stick with them.
Don't you have this test that you do?
Oh yeah.
A mirror test?
Yeah.
What's the mirror test?
The mirror test is I fast forward my life, okay, to when I'm 80 years old. So I do it almost at least once a year. So I look at myself in the mirror and I imagine myself being 80 years old, okay, and doing the same work I'm doing today. And if the answer is no, or I'm turned off by that image, I immediately change path, right? Because I'm constantly in pursuit of doing what I really think is the best thing I should do, right? And that has been it's taken me through an incredible journey, right? There's so many different jobs, and I've learned so much from each one of them, and I can say, knock on wood, every time I've made that decision, my life has got better.
So how many times have you done it and actually said, holy crap, I need to make some changes here?
So I did it at Rockwell Automation in Boston. I fast forwarded my life. I was like, I can't see myself working really hard, if 5 years becoming a manager, and then 5 years after that becoming a director, and then 5 years after that, if my superiors like me and whatever decide in like when I'm 20 years from now, I will be a director or a VP, right? I was like, I want to have control. Yeah. I want to do. I want to have a direct effect on my own future, right? Like I want it to directly impact my future and not rely on anyone else. So that was very important to me. And after that, it was like, okay, so I can't work for anyone. I have to be an entrepreneur. So then that decision was made. And then when I went to the eyewear business, the same thing. I had two retail stores. I had one in Pacific Palisades. I had one in Beverly Hills in the Golden Triangle. Very good business. I was doing great financially. And I was constantly trying to improve, right? Like I'm a seeker. So I always have to kind of take it one level up, right?
Right.
So when I was working on that, I had gone to Switzerland to buy these CNC machines where you can manufacture sunglasses yourself. So I spent like 40 grand on this like miniature CNC system where you could design a sunglass, give it to the CNC machine, it will cut it out for you, and then you have to polish it.
Like old school 3D printing? Because now sunglasses, I think they're 3D printing.
Some are, right? This was like a CNC version, right?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't going for like machined high, I was going for bespoke. I was going for like a very ultra high. I was selling $1,500 sunglasses in Beverly Hills. Yeah, it was great business. But I got that, and I'm making the first sunglass, right? And there's a mirror in front of me, and I'm there. It's like 8 o'clock at night. My wife is at home, and I'm just trying to make my first sunglass that I want to sell for like $4,000. Okay, it's handmade sunglass, right? And
are those it?
No, these are not it. No.
Okay, I'm like, let me see these $4,000 shades.
I have it. I think I have one. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, Arvin, what are you doing? You're making a freaking sunglass. Can you imagine yourself like you're 80 years old, you're in Beverly Hills, back of this retail store on Bedford Drive, and you're making sunglasses?
Doesn't sound terrible.
It was an immediate no.
Okay.
The next morning, I shut down the store, and I never went back. I never sold sunglasses after that.
But now you have this skill where you can detect, like don't you know which sunglasses go
I'm excellent.
on? Like you're an expert on that.
Yeah, I'm excellent at picking sunglasses. I know all the brands. I have a lot of sunglasses, you can imagine.
Yeah. What hobbies are you interested in?
I like physical activity, running, weight training, chess. I would say traveling. I love traveling. And when I say traveling, it's not like vacations. It's more like...
What's traveling to you?
Traveling to me is going to an absolute place that you have no idea. Like I would never do research if I'm traveling alone, by the way. I would never do any type of research on the place. I would just have an idea. I want to go see that place, and I want to discover it for the first time. Bit of vagabonding, they call. I don't like fancy places typically, contrary to, selling and critiquing, $50, $100 million mansions. If I'm traveling, I would want to go to a place, I would say like the areas that really excite me right now would be, Sub-Sahara Africa. I would love to go. I've never got a chance to go to mainland. I've been to North Africa, but I've never been to a lot of the countries in, Sub-Sahara Africa, and some countries in South America and Central America, and for lack of better term, developing countries that are not yet there. I just really love going there and just kind of putting myself in a situation where it's uncomfortable and not used to, and it's raw and messy and unexpected, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's like that excitement is everything.
I'm all about. Again, our stories mirror, because when I quit my tech job, I bought a camera, had a camera and a dream, went to the Philippines. And literally was in hostels, bouncing around.
Oh my God, yeah.
Really bad at making videos, trying my best, and
well, you've done well for yourself.
It was interesting, but also I enjoyed going to a country and like finding a running route. Running in Mauritius around this thing, going to get eggs and all this stuff and hanging out. And so that's my favorite type of travel, is the unexpected kind, allowing the things to happen. All right, let's get this show on the road.
Okay.
So we're about to head on a drive.
Let's go.
Okay, awesome.
Should we take my car or your car?
Definitely your car.
Okay,
Sweet.
let's go.
All right, cool. Are you completely detached from, you're not doing real estate right now at all?
I just sold a $36 million home.
So
what do you mean?
So you're definitely
I'm definitely doing real estate right now.
Okay.
I'm just doing more and more expensive homes.
Got it.
But I like you could say less transactions,
right?
But more expensive price points.
And being in content, making videos on YouTube, it's probably funneling some clients that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's having a strong personal brand. It helps. That's awesome.
So you live in halftime Puerto Rico, halftime in LA. Dude,
Ish.
I'm fascinated by what's happening in Puerto Rico.
What's happening?
From a real estate perspective.
Okay.
Because it's like how one policy has transformed the residential real estate prices in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Or at least some parts of it, right? And then it hasn't affected the other parts.
Yep.
But then also studying how the trickle effect has like affected the local market, right?
Right. It's definitely made things expensive. It's not quite LA price, but it's very expensive, the real estate. You're Persian.
Persian.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Persians in LA, right?
Yep, they call it Tehrangeles.
Say it again.
Tehrangeles.
Tehrangeles.
Like Tehran?
Yeah.
Tehrangeles.
Got it.
Instead of Los Angeles.
Right.
There's apparently, from what I've heard, over 800,000 Persians.
Wow. Okay.
Either full Persian or half Persian in Los Angeles.
Okay.
That's 10% of the population.
That is.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
I figured out that what I like to do, which is residential real estate, and then I slowly, step by step, I created this life that I really wanted the way I wanted, right? Creating content, not being an annoyance to the general public by cold calling them and annoying them and trying to become their friends so they would, I would sell their house. Instead, putting the information I know and I believe in out there, and people reaching out to me, right?
Yep. For someone that's not happy, what do you think? How do they get from that side of the fence to it?
I think if you're unhappy, it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're lost is really bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I think if you're unhappy, you should know what you're unhappy about. Mm-hmm. Right? You should write it down, and at least you know what's bothering you, right? Mm-hmm. I think the worst case scenario is not knowing what's wrong, because then you're lost. Then you don't have a North Star.
You're a drifter.
You're drifting, right?
Yep.
Like the purpose. So if you're angry, good. If you're upset, you're good. If you feel like you don't, this is not fair to you, good. If you feel like you deserve better, good. That's exactly where you should be. And I've never punched harder when my back was against the wall. So if you're bad in a place where you're in financial trouble, you are not, things are tough, you have a lot of expenses, you have family responsibility, wife, kids, right?
Right.
And things are not working, good. You would never improve if you didn't have this pain.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So and I've been there. I've been in really, really tough financial troubles in my life, right? Where you just don't know how you're gonna pay the bills next month, right? And your wife is pregnant, and there's just so much at stake, and you could lose your house, you could lose everything, right? So it's, if you're there, just know that if you channel that energy and really write it down, I think in really critical times, sometimes when life is just, going on, you could figure out things in your head, but most of the time it's so much better to write it down and write down what you're upset about, what's causing it, and get to the core of it. So, say I'm not happy, doesn't know you're not happy at what? And then what in that makes you unhappy? Okay, it's your job. So is it the industry? Is it the boss? Is it the lack of mobility and improvement in your pay? Is it your colleagues? What is it? Like, get to the core of it, and then that should give you a North Star.
Yes.
Right. That should give you a North Star where you say, okay, this is what I don't like this, and I don't want to have it for these reasons, and this is what I want, or this is what I think I want. And then as soon as you find out the think you want, go try it. Go try it immediately, right? Drop it, go, find something that you could learn from. My philosophy on that is just going after finding the best person, right? The most successful person in that. I think you could be you could make money and be successful in anything. I can promise you there are plumbers who are wealthier than both of us combined.
Right.
Okay. There are electricians who are wealthier than both of us. Right? Like if you're at the best at any profession in the world, you would be not even best, like 1%.
Top 1%.
Top 1%. You don't even have to be the best. You'll be extremely well off, right?
And usually those people are now content creators, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So the top barber in Miami, that's like posting Instagram stories of his clients, his like celebrity clients. He's killing it. He's doing $500 haircuts, you know?
Yeah.
I'll come to you and just doing like one an hour. It's crazy.
The worst thing is living a very average, mediocre life, kind of a lukewarm going into it, and you're like, you know, you're 80, 90 years old, you're like, oh, maybe I should have done this.
What do we call it? The mirror test.
Yeah, the
If you
mirror
look
test,
at that, like that really resonated because I called it something similar, but I called it the fat guy with the BMW. This is from Tim Ferriss's book, 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
He had a friend, and he said, hey, like, don't become the fat guy with the red BMW. It's basically, you know, corporate America where you get a nice car and you become fat and lazy. You know, nothing wrong with that. I just did not want, I saw my trajectory in tech as, you know, making mid six figures to, you know, in North Carolina dollars, mid six figures, middle level manager, and I was working 40 to 50 hours a week. And I would choose to go work 80 hours a week for myself and make a lot less. And just because I don't want to wonder if I could have done something. I want to go try.
Yeah.
So, man.
I think just, again, it's, I would say it's taken me like, 40 years or 42 years.
Right. You're 42?
42.
Okay.
It's taken me 42 years to kind of finally for the pieces to come together. But even the times that I was, the pieces of puzzles were not clicking in together, I was in the pursuit of making sure the pieces of the puzzle will click together. And that pursuit itself, as frustrating as it was, as hard as it was, as financially difficult as it was, it was enjoyable because it was what I wanted to do. I had agency over it. I had command over it. It was my wish. It was my plan. So I think that's could be really, really important to find your North Star, or at least getting the path of finding your North Star by trying different things.
Now, when you were a kid, because you're like, I just now have this. Did you have this growing up, or is this something that?
I would say, like, I think one of the main things that there's certain things that I think in your personality, your core personality, could be a trait or it could be genetics, right? That has helped me. I don't know which one is which, but there's certain things that I've always had. One, which I'm pretty sure is genetic, is I wanted more all the time. Okay. And I know this because my mom used to tell me, she would give me a piece of like a sliced apple, and then I would put it in my mouth and I would say nam, which I meant to say more. And I would get another one, I would hold it, and I would get my other hand out, and I would say more. And I would follow my mom the whole time, making sure there's one in my mouth and like 2 pieces of apple in each hand. And she always said, like, you wanted more, right? Like, always wanted more. So I think that's been probably genetic. But the other thing is that I became a seeker. So I think that's a pretty important factor, because it's a really good, I don't know if it was an accidental I fell into it or something, but I became really interested in knowing more. Very curious, right?
Okay.
So I became extremely curious in everything. So I remember when I moved to the United States, for the first time, we had a stable connection and an internet that was connected to the world, okay? So when I found out about Wikipedia, I was like, what? You can get pretty, like, a reliable, some sort of reliable, it's questionable now, but but some sort of a reliable source for information that you always wanted. I'm not kidding you. I probably, from the day I found out about Wikipedia, for a month, I spent at least 6 hours a day just reading Wikipedia.
Just absorbing knowledge.
All the questions that I had in my head, I had to get an answer, right?
Yeah.
So I was just
it's like a drug, right?
Yeah,
Curiosity. You're like, I want to.
Yeah. So again, I don't know if it's genetic or something, but I've always been a seeker. I want to seek new information. I want to learn. I want to know more. I can't just drop it. Like if I don't know something and I'm interested in it, I can't just be like, I guess I will never not know that one. No,
right? It's interesting.
To know.
There's a correlation between those. Let's call them the seeker, I guess. Yeah. Right? You got your seeker, but you also have those people who are willing to travel a lot and authentically travel.
Yeah.
And like go on these unexpected journeys.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some overlap there.
Yeah. I mean, for example, like traveling, I think I've been to over 74 or 75 different countries.
Yeah.
It was, again, like, I want to know this country, I want to see the capital, and then I was also very adamant about like not doing much research. And back in the days, there were the Lonely Planet books. I'm sure you've had a couple.
Yep.
So I used to take the Lonely Planet book and just go out, and that was my only guide to the city, and then I would try to figure out, what to do, where to go, how to do it. And also just like being fearless. Okay, I think part of it is also I have a very high tolerance for risk.
Yep.
I've multiple times, like we talked about it earlier, like closing down my eyewear business when my wife is pregnant with our first kid. Took me down to the last $1,000 in my bank account.
Yeah.
Very like just knucklehead move.
But how do you know the difference between, YOLOing, risking the last dollar, and taking a calculated risk?
I didn't know that back then when I took this risk. Now I know I can analytically break it down.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I told you, I can't do something good if my heart is not into it.
Yep.
Like, I just can't, okay? And I refuse to do it, in fact, okay? So I don't, again, at the time, I cared about finances a lot more than I care right now. Right now, I give, for my channel, a ton of sponsorship opportunity. I don't care. I don't want to do it.
Right.
Okay? I look at myself, do I want to get $10,000 per video and say this? Or $10,000 still is a lot of money for me, right? It's no joke.
10K a video, especially if you can do more a week.
Yeah,
it's
you can do multiples a week, right?
7.
I'm just not. I don't feel like doing that. I don't want to do that. That's not me. I don't want to do it. So back then, I didn't have this complete mindset, but at the same time, I just knew what I want to do, what I like to do.
Yes.
Okay. But the benefit of that is that you work so much harder, so much better for working for what you want to do. So, which goes to like the third element of, I guess, of my personality is that persistence. I just don't quit. I continue, do it. Again, it's like kind of finding the answer, right? I think any YouTuber, any content creator who's successful has the same personality. You need to really have that mindset of making 80 crappy videos that just every single one of them you think you did a really good job, because at the time you're making the video you're thinking like, oh my god, this is going to be a hit, right? Like each one you're making is like, you are so optimistic about like, oh my god, okay, this one is going to be the one, and it just flops and flops and flops and flops, and it just, that happens over and over and over so many times. But you just don't give up. You just, because you know that's what you want to do, right? That makes you happy. It's just, it's not, the results don't almost matter. You still obviously want great results, but the results as discouraging as they are, they don't stop you.
Right.
It kind of ties into being a seeker, because also at the end you need that answer, right? The answer is the success in this regard. So, it just kind of all ties in together.
Yeah, no, it does circle
know?
back. So the YouTube journey, what's that like? That's so you're doing that combined with the real estate. So
in my eye, it's all the same thing. Okay. In my eye, I am furthering my own education in residential real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. The person who learns the most is me. It's not my audience, right? I'm the one who looks at 5 different mansion tour videos and critiques them, or looks at every single house that comes on the market, looks at all the pictures, and basically do the whole analysis in my head of what I'm telling you guys in the videos, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm the one to prep for the video. So to me, I consider myself not really a content creator. I create content and I like the creative side, but as far as my main channel goes, I consider myself an analyst, right? Which is furthering my expertise in residential brokerage.
So you didn't set out and say, I want to be a YouTuber. This became...
It was more like no one is talking about this. And that's a really big item for people who want to become creators. Most likely, if you don't have a North Star, you will never be a very successful real estate YouTuber.
Yep.
Because my North Star wasn't that I wanted to be a YouTuber. My North Star was that people are getting screwed, buying the wrong houses, overpaying for properties, because no one tells them the truth about single family homes or condos, right? No one tells them the truth.
Yeah.
And that was my purpose in making the videos. Obviously, I wanted the videos to succeed, right? And they were flopping after flopping after flopping. But the main aspect of that was that what I'm doing is important. What I'm doing is I'm helping people. What I'm doing is I'm peeling the onion, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting to the core of it. Someone who will watch my video would get value out of it. If someone who wants to buy this house is looking at this video, they would say, thank you. No one talked about it this way.
Right.
I've gained something from this video that my own agent wouldn't have told me, right?
Yep.
So that was a main part of why I continued to do it while the videos were flopping, and simultaneously trying to perfect them, right?
How long have you been creating videos?
I started with TikTok about 4 years ago. So my TikTok channel is actually still, to this day, the biggest following I have. It's over 500,000 followers. At one point, I think it was 700,000 followers. But I haven't posted anything on TikTok in years. I just, I became very good at doing shorts.
Yep.
And it was, again, same thing almost. I was doing critiquing homes.
Yep.
But in a very
I've seen the old Arvin. I I looked at it just as curiosity to see where it went to evolve to the
concept.
YouTube.
Same concept. It was the same concept. Analyzing mansions, right?
Yep.
And the reason I did mansions and not regular homes was that because everyone was interested in mansions or celebrity mansions,
people
right?
Like fancy.
But the lessons are the same. Privacy is the same. Big house, small house, it's an issue. Bad layout is the same. Big house, small house is an issue. So I think what's been really resonating with my audience is that they actually learn stuff and they tell me in the comments, right? Like, thank you. Like my house is only like 500,000 Arvin, but I've learned something for my own house from this video.
Right.
Because the overall concept is the same. So I started there 4 years ago. I made a lot of shorts, TikToks, big following on TikTok, and then I switched to YouTube. And again, that was another binary decision. It's like 10 years from now, do I want to be 80 years from now? Do I want to be known for making shorts on TikTok?
Right.
No. Okay. What do you want to be known for? More in-depth analysis, more connection with the viewer, more help, more analysis, technical stuff. Okay, what's the venue to do that? Long form YouTube.
Yeah.
That's the, okay. I didn't post any more videos on TikTok.
So you're
complete focus.
Wow.
You see
so
what I'm
you
saying?
completely dropped TikTok.
Completely dropped it, and
Okay.
I've done. I keep doing that.
Yeah.
I keep doing that in my life, and every single time it has turned out gold.
Ah, look, In-N-Out.
Are you ready? Should we get grab In-N-Out?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
I'm starving, and it wouldn't be a trip to LA without an In-N-Out. All right, I'll do the classic double.
All right, would you like the one here, sir?
I'm sorry?
Would you like it with onion?
Yes.
Okay. And would you like any fries with today?
Say number one. Just go with number one.
Number one.
All right.
Two number one.
Two number one.
Two number ones?
Is that gonna be enough? Yeah.
Would you like onion on both?
Yes, please.
Okay, I see them.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know.
The whole thing would make it a lot more ketchup, please. Bring the drinks.
Yep. All right, let's try this.
Oh my gosh! There's a queen stack of cheese.
Are you hold on, are you watching like chess live?
Just highlights.
Show the camera, that's funny. He's literally, is this what you do after eating a burger?
Sometimes, yeah. This is like after lunch. It helps.
Streaming.
It helps digest. The food
Love
better.
it. To kind of wrap up real estate, so you don't like real estate folks, is that true?
I don't like.
Right? Like,
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I said I initially had reservations about becoming a real estate agent because I had a bad experience with a real estate agent.
right.
Where basically told us in 2008 to purchase a property, told us the prices are going to go up, have already come down, didn't tell us the property had a really small backyard, didn't tell us the views were just average, didn't tell us that this layout was not the popular one in the neighborhood. And he knew a lot of that stuff because he
It's
knew...
dishonest, really. And you know.
Well, I would say there's two ways, right? There's one is being dishonest. Another way of think of it is like withholding information that you could share, right?
Yep.
But this was like in 2008, and the agent was our buying agent, right? He had a fiduciary responsibility to help us,
Yeah.
but it would not help his financial benefit to tell us all the truth. So they only said half the truth,
Right.
right? Laguna Niguel is a great neighborhood. True. It's undervalued. True. Is it a good time to buy? Yes, great time to buy because the prices have come up and they've come down already a little bit because in 2008 they had, but we didn't reach the bottom in 2012.
Right.
It's going to shoot right back up. False. It's a great house. False. Great views. False. Good layout. False.
Yep.
Good finishes. False. Told us only the positives of buying an attract home neighborhood, which is you get a tennis court, you get a park. Didn't tell us the negatives, that when homes go belly up in foreclosures, because the layouts look almost identical to each other, you're directly affected. If the layout A sells for $620,000, which it did after in 2009, 2010, when the market crashed completely, our house was not worth $850,000 what we paid for it.
Yeah.
So it was it was one of the reasons why I didn't want to become a real estate agent. I held a grudge position towards real estate agents as like they're dishonest, they're not truthful. And when I look back, I feel sorry for the guy because it was 2008 and I know how hard it is to be a real estate agent. He didn't know when he's going to sell his next house.
Yeah.
It's only commission.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't sell, you're not going to get anything, and it doesn't serve him to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So going away from him, there's a bigger issue here with our industry where your buyer agent, who should have a fiduciary responsibility towards you, financially is not incentivized to tell you the truth or complete truth.
Right.
Right? And people can test that out. Call your agent, pick a really crappy house, okay? Call your agent and say, hey, I'm really think like this, we should buy this house. It's really good. I'll promise you a very strong percentage of them will be like, great, let's go take a look at it. Right? Yeah,
Right.
that seems good. Yeah, it's a good fixer. It's a great fixer.
Right.
You know? Like they would spin it, dance around it in any way for you to transact. And that's the truth still today. So there's an overall flaw with the current system where people are not getting the fiduciary that they should get, that they would get if they're buying, investing in any stock or whatever, mutual fund or an investment, right? Credited investor. Like most real estate people buying a home, they're a accredited investor. They have enough money down payment to go buy a house, right?
Right.
They're not getting that fiduciary that they should. And by the time they're 80 years old, 80-90% of their net worth is going to be tied to their single family home that they own.
Right.
And that's
would
just
you-
statistically true.
Would you recommend buying in this day and age, this era we're in, now and in the next few years, would you recommend renting or buying?
Right. I mean, it's really bad to just give a blanket advice to everyone.
sure.
Okay. But more often than not, right now, it's a lot cheaper to rent. A lot cheaper to rent because your payments could are because of mortgage rates are significantly higher. Right. Than renting the same property. That's certainly true in LA. Right now, if it doesn't matter if you want to buy a $1 million home, $2 million home, $5 million home, a $10 million or a $20 million home, it's much cheaper to rent that house than own it. That was not the case.
I'd like to. It's like the American dream, right? Buy a house.
It is the American dream, but you got to look at it like as a whole aspect. Like for example, would I buy a house for myself? I would, but I have a way longer horizon, right?
Yes. What's your time horizon?
Oh, like never sell.
Yeah.
So buy and never sell. So it's a if you have a horizon that
I
to
think
never
I'd
sell,
like to buy like not a fixer-upper, and I'd like to buy the house, and I'm down to rent. Follow this bus, and then I'm down to rent until I want to like actually have a dream home where I have all the things that would check the boxes for me, and when I'm there, we'll talk and we can make sure that I'm getting the best bang for my buck. I'll hire you.
Yeah.
But that's a ways away for now. So I might buy something in Puerto Rico, like a condo or something, but we'll see. So, but for now, renting. It's like, man, moving is so stressful. And buying furniture in an area, you need to know where you're going to be like for the long haul before you buy that, I don't know, the TV set or the, dresser, chest of drawers. Like, if you're going to get the good shit, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And, it's like until then, maybe it's like get IKEA, until left here. How's your work-life balance?
I would say it's with a lot of effort. It is in a good place, but it hasn't always been a good place. I've been a bit of a workaholic.
Yeah.
But recently, it's really good. I think my wife and I, we finally found a nice little method that works for us, where we spent a lot of time with the kids, and it's pretty good. It's just rhythm, routines, executing the routine, right? Like setting it up. I wouldn't complain about my work-life balance. I feel like the professional life has a really good balance between creativity and action, and like videos and selling homes and software development. But also my personal life has a good balance with spending time with the kids,
right?
Spending time with my wife, and also vacations, travel, Yeah, we're in a good place. It's good. Knock on wood.
And can you talk about the software?
No.
No.
No, I can't. We're in stealth mode.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're stealthily you're back in tech from full circle.
Yeah.
From back when you were helping so and so with Windows 95?
Yeah, I wouldn't call that really.
I know, I'm kidding. It's a fun story.
Yeah.
You've gone full circle now. You're doing some stealth
Well,
mode
I've been doing
stuff.
this would be my second tech startup.
Got it.
So the first one was ZipSmart.ai.
Yes.
And this is a kind of a
left here.
much. It's a very much so improved version. It's a different concept, but it adds on to that, shall we say?
Okay. I'm familiar with at least like the 50,000 foot view, the value prop of ZipSmart, and yeah, it's so you. It tells you the shit that you in one place. It tells you.
Well, I can tell you this one is the same.
Okay.
This one is very much so the same.
So it's data for real estate. That's the niche.
the truth.
The truth.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. No, and are you doing it solo? Can you?
No, I have a co-founder.
Okay. Cool.
And we're working to. I have a technical co-founder in this one.
Okay.
Something I didn't have last time, and I learned from my first startup how you can avoid wasting money.
Yep.
How you can avoid making faster decisions, better decisions.
Yep.
And getting to what you want faster if you have the right co-founder. So I found the right co-founder, and we're working together.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So
We're a little stealthy and cagey about it right now.
I like it. I like the stealthy. All right, left here, and then 1, 2 lights ahead. So what's some crazy thing that no one really knows about you, like that you are researching? Like when you're looking up crazy stuff on the internet, like your old, back when you were absorbing Wikipedia page by page, is there anything like some crazy conspiracy or some like thing that fascinates you? Aliens from, nowadays apparently everyone's talking about drones in the sky. So
I think aliens would be if it's true,
yeah.
It would be the biggest discovery of our lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't it?
No doubt.
It's funny because some people don't take it that seriously. They're like, oh,
it's a
whatever.
big deal.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think maybe. I don't know. There's we can't explain them. But
so
some people just brush it off and they're like, oh, yeah, no.
We don't need to go into just pull over somewhere and then we'll, right up here is cool. Yes, it's a big deal.
It's a very big deal. It's a very big deal in a way that not just we're not alone, we're not at the top of the food chain.
Right.
And possibly there are different dimensions and the Newtonian physics is not everything we know.
See, I figured you might be interested into that. That's why I was poking, but I don't want to take you down that road. But just given that we share a lot of interests, and you are obsessed, you have a lot of curiosity. Yeah,
I'm definitely a very curious person. So, I'm very intrigued by the news that it's popping out and the information that it's coming out from particularly the government, right? Like from the Senate hearings, that's the stuff that I'm listening to, because that is a different level. People have been talking about, UFOs and aliens for a very long time, but when there are conversation at the military level, Navy, Air Force, recordings, fighter pilots, showing in the radar, you can see the footage and everything videotaped by our officers, and you put that next to Senate hearings who are under oath.
Yep.
I take that seriously. So I'm fascinated, a little scared, but I think it would be the biggest discovery.
Oh, dude, I hope that
I
hope that this year we find out, because the biggest question is, in my eyes, who created us? What happens when we die? And then, are aliens real? That's it.
I don't know if the alien will answer the first two questions.
I have a feeling, something tells me they're connected.
Okay.
I have a feeling that
What's your theory?
My hot take is there's many different aliens, and after enough research, I think that there's several different aliens. There's aliens that are extraterrestrial, and then we actually have terrestrial aliens that have actually been here a long time, longer than us, in fact. And I think they come from the ocean. I think they come from the ocean, ironically.
Catalina, right
off
there.
Of Catalina and off of
Beautiful island.
Puerto Rico, too. They come from there.
Okay.
So I've read these, reports. And that what's interesting is I believe they're able to move time or bend time, and they're in a different dimension.
Which ones?
The ones coming from the ocean.
Okay.
They get scared when we are threatening to blow up each other. So that's why they're at military bases. You notice they keep seeing these orbs and things around military bases when we're like doing a test exercise, because they're like, oh shit, they're about to blow each other up. Let me go check it out.
But I mean, if they are, they should be listening to our news and kind of knowing what we're really doing or not.
But if they're water beings, let's say that they're coming from the ocean,
English?
Maybe not. I don't know. This is a good question. I have a
maybe they speak Spanish.
Maybe
the Puerto
they
Rican
speak
ones.
Spanish. I don't know. So that's one, and then you've got the extraterrestrial, and I feel like, there's a whole rabbit hole.
So what's that? Let's get into that.
So
what
that there's extraterrestrials.
Okay.
Now I'm not saying I believe in this. I'm saying these are some theories that I've entertained.
Okay.
So you've got like the Greys, these aliens that look like your traditional alien with the big eyes and the big head.
Okay.
And they're like drones, meaning their body is like, they don't have a soul.
Okay.
They're just being like almost remote controlled.
Okay.
Okay. And we have a soul, which is interesting to them. So, and then there's another theory that says that these are people.
So how do you separate extraterrestrial and
terrestrial?
Yeah. What's the?
Were they born here, or were they born from somewhere else and then they came here?
Okay, that's the define. Like if you have a passport or you don't.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes. Do they have a passport?
Okay. So they're not aliens technically.
Correct.
If they're born here.
That's why they've changed the name from ETs and all that to like aerial phenomenon. They've changed the words once Congress has been releasing stuff, and I do believe soon we will get more information, because Trump has been more open sourced government with being more transparent, and he's released the JFK files, the MLK files. So like,
he already released those?
That's out. So
they did? It's over?
You could go find it and read the reports.
I just didn't hear about it.
But that's
okay.
That's
I knew he was planning to. I just didn't get that.
I find that interesting, right?
So you think aliens are next?
So I think aliens is on their radar.
So extraterrestrial, the ones that don't come from Earth.
Yeah.
What's the theory there? Do you think they're more of your typical, like alien bodies, but you think they're drones? Where are they coming from?
I don't know where they're coming from, but I really want to know. Something like, I want to know, where did they come from in our solar system, and have they created like space-time teleports, black holes, or how did they go from point A to point B, right? Okay. Because with chemical rockets, we can all agree it's too slow. Imagine us going 30 light years away to a nearby star, and let's say that one has a nice planet that's perfect. Odds are that it's not perfect, but let's say there is one, 30 light years. We're going like what, 0.6% of the speed of light? So that would take so long.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a faster way to go, like Interstellar, how they go through the wormhole?
Yeah.
Or the black hole?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's many different theories in this regard. One could be just a complete misinformation campaign.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it could easily be like, okay, these guys, let's bring them into the government. Let's create a agency.
Yep.
And that is investigating UFOs, and then let's make them think there is UFOs. So they would go on Congress under oath, and do swear under oath that there is, and there's somehow it either deters our enemies from attacking us because they think we might have this technology that we don't,
Yep.
or to, I don't know, maybe have influence over people over like, hey, if we don't do this, aliens would do something to us, right?
Right.
That could be a whole scenario of its own. But if they do actually exist, I'm definitely in the camp that they've always been here.
Okay. I believe there's at least one group is. Or do you think that they're us in the future and have come back to almost warn us about AI and nuclear destruction? Because that's one theory.
I don't think that, because then I think we would have experienced multiple changes in that. We would have had a crazier trajectory in our experience. I think we would have had a more serious, like, changing trajectory if we were being influenced. I think we're going at our natural speed as human beings.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you see?
I do.
I'm curious if the technology, we found some in the past, and then that is what accelerated us to go from the Wright brothers in North Carolina on the sand dunes, you know, with that plane, to now we're flying with all these.
I don't think we've been altered technologically, at least our civilization, right? I don't think the human civilization, we've been altered or given extra information to benefit, go faster or stuff. If we had, maybe the person who, like, I don't think we have, to be honest. I think we've gone through the natural progression. Just because things happen a lot faster is a combination of a couple key massive discoveries, like obviously electricity, computers, internet, and now AI. I would put it at the same bracket. I think AI is huge. But when you combine that with the amount of financing and the banking system that existed during the last 300 to 500 years, enabled financing, lending, investing for these businesses to flourish in scale and capitalistic culture, I think we are where we're supposed to be. But that doesn't mean that there are not other civilizations living on Earth that are not, they're advanced and they're not human. It could be.
Yeah.
The last time I heard we had a new technology was during the U.S., the Balkan War, when we had, Serbs, Croats, and Bosnians killing each other. That was like when they introduced the, what's it called? Remember the Black Hawk airplane? Was it? They looked like a, it was like a fighter jet, or it was a bomber. I don't remember. I think it was a. That looked very triangular. You remember that one?
Yeah, the triangle.
Like it looked like a delta.
Yeah.
You know which one? Like I remember, like that got released. That like, oh my god, we have this. Haven't heard much since.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised. 20 years on, we've figured out some sort of an element that we could either make it look like things are in the sky when they're not, both on radar and to human eye.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, random question. All right, does the perfect mansion exist?
No.
Okay.
There is no perfect mansion. Perfect to who?
Right.
For what demographic? What there's just so many different demographics, right?
Yep.
So there could be a perfect mansion for a family of 4 with 2 kids under the age of 6. Okay? And even that is hard to accomplish, because there are elements that within the family might not. The husband might want one thing, and the wife would want something else, right?
Right.
So, and that there's no continuity in that. So, I think it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's to see all the angles, right?
Yep.
To see all the viewpoints of different demographics, and making a decision that attempts to accommodate as many as it could.
But what if you built your own from scratch?
Oh, that's going to be a disaster.
Oh yeah? Why?
Yeah, that's going to be only good for you. So it will be the perfect mansion for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
No, you can build a perfect mansion for
Okay.
yourself. Oh yeah. But is it going to be a perfect mansion out there? You see, like when people are Google searching, like YouTube, the perfect mansion, man. Okay, it's like they think there's a concept that it would be just perfect, right? In every regard for everything. It's just impossible. Like you could, it's like saying the perfect food, right? Well, the perfect food, I mean, some person might like Thai food, some person might like, you know, Mexican food, Persian food.
Right.
It's just, it doesn't exist. And there's too many demographics, too many people who have different opinions and wants and needs. Forget about opinions, right? Or age. Like a 60, 70-year-old man might want to have a single story home, as to another family who have kids might want to have a separation in 2 floors or a basement, because you're in part of the country that feel cozy and nice to be under the ground in the winter time. Totally different.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, what are some of your fears?
Oh, I guess anything with my family, anything bad that could happen to my family.
Right.
That is not in my control. Would be my only fear.
Okay. Protecting your people.
Well, yeah.
100%.
With myself, I try to live so I would be okay if I die anytime.
Yep. When you
I'm
say
sure I would still be, you know, scared shitless if someone told me you're gonna die. But at least I'm trying to live day by day in a way that if someone told me you're going, I would be like, okay, I really tried my best and I did what I wanted to do. Like I didn't waste my life for living or by someone else's rules or standards or ruler, for that matter, right? I did it. I did what I wanted. I did it the way I wanted it, and I didn't held back. If I wanted it, I went for it and I got it. So, yeah.
Now, did you have a mentor?
I've had a lot of mentors. It's something I spend a lot of money on.
Oh, you paid.
Absolutely.
Paid for mentorship.
Oh,
interesting.
absolutely.
That's a debatable topic. Like, you know, joining a mastermind, paying for mentorship.
I mean, coaches, I call them, right? So I've had, just for example, I've had at least 4 or 5 different social media coaches.
Okay.
When I started with TikTok, I think I had 2 different coaches. With YouTube, I've had 1, 2, 3 different coaches with YouTube. With my being a real estate agent, I've had 2 different coaches, like paid coaches. For life coach, I've had at least 3 or 4,
Oh, wow.
and I'm currently being coached by 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a coach, life coach.
You do?
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, it's been great.
It's the best thing in the world.
It was a pivot from therapy, because I've gone therapy, traditional therapy. I don't know, have you tried that?
Not consistently,
Okay.
no. I mean, I've gone for issues, I've gone to a therapist, but not like
Yeah, I think it's good to potentially, but the life coaching is very different, but more.
Yeah, life coaching.
It helps me. I think you and I, like, we need someone that's an expert in said field, and they are like, don't do that, do this. This is good.
Yeah.
This is how YouTubers go viral. Follow this step, and they've done it before. I'm gonna listen to that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, at least my experience with my life coach, this last one that I've had for over 5-6 months. He's just a very wise older man. He's like, I want to say 60 or 70 years old. I've never met him. Just been Zoom calls, and not even Zoom, like telephone calls.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he looks like. But he's just an incredibly wise man, and we've become good friends in the process, and he just gives me great advice, and a lot of times holds my hand and let me get to the truth and find my truth instead of just telling me. And then he also kind of focuses on for me to figure out the intricacies of the way I think and behave, and my if I'm what methods I'm using to move myself forward. As
Right.
effective as I am in always getting what I wanted in almost any field I've ever put my head and mind into, did I do it the right way? Was there a better way?
Right.
And that's always very questionable, because if you get what you wanted, then you have a tendency not to change it
Right.
because it worked. And
Right.
for me, it has worked many times over, the same methods that I take into getting what I want.
Ooh, what is the method to get what you want? Do you follow some manifestation technique? Do you?
I live, breathe, eat what I want to get.
Okay.
I just laser focused. A bomb could go off next to my head. I would not twitch or move. When I zero in on a matter, and I say, for example, when I decided that like TikTok is not the way, I have to do it on YouTube. It wasn't if in my head. It was just like, how many videos is gonna get a
When?
take?
Not if, when.
Yeah. So it's like the focus and the relentless, kind of tunnel vision I get, which, by the way, it's not healthy. Okay, it's not the best way of doing it. It's one way of doing it.
Right.
Is been my method, and my coach has been helping me see the downfalls on it and the benefits of it, and what could I tweak in my brain, the way I think, the way I see the world, to get there faster, more effortlessly,
Yeah.
and with less pain. So yeah.
Do you do any? So aside from getting laser focused, do you do anything like traditional law of attraction or anything?
Oh, I do a ton of incantations.
What's incantation?
Incantations is repeating what you want, right? So I remember when I was just a new real estate agent, I used to say, I had this Toyota Prius, right? And we lived in Sherman Oaks, and I would drive over the hills to get to Beverly Hills to my office. And every morning for a year, I would sit down and driving to get to work, like early in the morning, I would say, silly stuff, but now when I look at them, like, there's so many better incantations to say, but one of them was like, I make $50,000 a month. And I would just say that maybe 200 times getting to work. I make $50,000 a month. I make $50,000 a month. I make $50,000 a month.
Did you come up with this method, or is this from a book that you've extracted?
See, I just maybe seen a YouTube video.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, this is what people are doing. I'm just going to do this, right?
Yep.
And then when I commit to something, I go all in, right? So if I'm doing it, if I'm going to do incantations, I'm going to do it like, I'm going to say the same word 1 week, only one word.
Dude, we're so similar.
Yeah.
Like I have I ams. I am so happy and grateful that blank. And it could be like, I get to make X amount a month creating videos that allow me to share stories, meet cool people, be creative. Like I get very specific. I don't just say I want to have X amount of followers or make X amount of money. I want to give the universe specific instructions.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we can write our own program.
Yeah.
And
So where that could be dangerous, or you could make a mistake, and this doesn't come like when I wrote the incantations, I did it with some thought, right? Like
Yes.
I actually kind of thought them out with whatever limited knowledge I had at the time when I was whatever, 8 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yep.
But some stuff you don't. For example, I always knew I was gonna I remember the moment it happened. I don't know exactly how old I was, but there was a moment in my childhood, I want to say maybe I was 5-6 years old, okay, that I remember they clearly made a decision, and the decision was, I'm gonna be great one day. Okay. Now you tell me, is that a good incantation or a bad incantation, or is it a good decision to make or a bad decision to make?
I would say that's a good decision, because at that point you don't necessarily know what, right, at 5.
Yeah.
Because I did the same. I said I'm not going to be like my parents, right? I don't wanna struggle for money. I'm gonna be great. My own version of that.
Yeah.
It was later in life that when I found I was good at this skill of this thing, whether it be, I've done many different things as well.
It has a lot of benefits. Okay,
Yeah.
and obviously it definitely maybe carried me through a certain time and place in my life. But I can argue it's not serving me today, and it's actually unproductive and counter working towards my goals right now. Do you know why?
Yeah. How? No,
Because-
not necessarily. So tell me.
Because if you have the assumption that I will be great one day, means that you're not great right now. It has a predisposition that you're not great, you have to be great.
Yes.
And that alone is a huge negative,
Yep.
right?
Because you're not grateful in the moment. You're only grateful when you achieve blank.
Dude, getting into nightclubs
Yeah.
teaches you a lot of things later on in life.
So we got in.
The skill sets, just going in with confidence.
So how'd you get into nightclubs?
Oh my God, I created this fake character named Scott White.
Okay.
Okay, it's a what do you call it? Not a fake. It's a arbitrary. No, there's a good name for it. I created this persona. I created a persona named Scott White, who was like a very, very famous promoter that you should know if you're in this industry.
Okay.
So I would go into it in front of a nightclub and I would say, hey, first of all, I would either send one of my friends or myself, ideally not myself, someone else, to go find out the name of the head bouncer, okay? So I can call him by his first name. So ask one of my friends to go and come back, and I would walk in, I would be like, hey Jimmy, how you doing? It's Arvin. He's like, Arvin? He's like, I'm with Scott White. He's like, Scott White? I'm like, Scott White? Like with Richie Rich. And then he would be like, oh! I will put such a significant emphasis on the fact that he should know. Oh my God, this looks like a war zone, by the way.
Yeah, straight ahead.
Okay, I know this is
okay.
the red light.
Um,
But I would put such a strong significance into the fact that, it wasn't Richie Rich, it was Richie. And that, oh my God, like, you should know Scott White, but you don't.
yep.
And then, if you don't, like, you don't even know Richie, and it would work 9 out of 10 times. It worked so well to a degree where my friends would call me from different cities and they would say, Arvin, like they're trying to get into a nightclub in San Diego, and they would call me like, Arvin, can you do the thing so we can get into like this club in San Diego? I would do it over the phone.
Wow.
And they would get in.
So get ready to turn right here.
Yep.
This is Ilif.
Yeah, so-
if we can. If it doesn't, we'll go up.
How's it going, man?
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Where you guys headed?
We're going to his house. Doesn't look like there's too much improvement, so.
No.
Oh, this is the famous house everyone takes pictures in front. The only one that survived.
Yep.
I've seen this house in the news.
Wow. Oh shit.
Yeah,
So-
let's get out.
Okay.
We're here to get out.
Yeah.
God, like, it doesn't look like much has happened. I guess they're taking the debris out, right?
Yeah. It's just when you see it in real life, man, it's crazy. Like, Jesus. Yeah, it's been a slow cleanup. Okay, right up. That's
their house?
Yeah, pull over right here. Just, and then let's stop. Yeah. So,
Why
so
everything
this is
is
why,
burnt.
because this neighborhood is not in the hills.
Nope.
It's kind of on a
This should have been a safe neighborhood.
right.
This, technically speaking, I wouldn't have said, like, if I was advising you before this fire, if you would have asked me, Arvin, am I generally safe for fires? I would be like, yeah. Fires happens in the hills. It doesn't happen here. But 2 elements happened here. One, the wind was blowing this way.
Yep.
Okay. I came the second day after the fires, and the fires were still burning here. Like the burn was going through Via Bluffs, which is another neighborhood down there. So when the wind started coming,
The initial houses, when they caught over there, the houses were so next to each other. That's why site setbacks are so important. It's part of the lot utilization score we talked about at the house this morning.
Yeah.
Is this one catches fire, it's so easy for the one next to it to catch fire, and then boom, 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 you just see, and that's why you see every one of them is burned.
Right.
They just got all burned out through.
Wow.
And it's so sad. But another element that you can tell, like, the neighborhood is not the most expensive neighborhood, is the fact that how narrow the streets are.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see if one car parks over here, another car's over here, only one car can go through.
Right.
So it's incredibly crazy that this neighborhood was trading at $3 million for dirt for a 7,000 square foot lot,
right,
when it was not a typical luxurious building to begin with, right?
Right.
So that is a major element, that speaks volume of how desired Palisades was.
Yeah.
And the big question is it going to continue to be desired?
So that's the question. I mean, I wanted to bring you here today. One, this hits close to home.
Yeah.
And it's really brought like LA to its knees. And so like seeing it in person is very different than seeing it on the news. But this grid, that Alphabet Streets, like you just said, is the
heart and soul.
Most viral photo
Yeah.
was of this grid
Yeah.
that you can see online.
And one of the huge benefits of this neighborhood is how close it is to the village.
Yeah.
So
I would walk.
Yeah, it's a walkable.
You can walk to Irwan and
Yep.
coffee shops
Yep.
and all
Yep.
that stuff and get your $9 latte. I mean,
it's or $25 smoothie, right?
Yes.
But again, to see the neighborhood like this, right? This desired kind of dreamy neighborhood that resembled a small town in middle of America, right? In heart of Los Angeles, right? You're in LA, but this little town, Pacific Palisades, really feels like a small town. It really did. The way it's isolated, very, very close-knit community. And this was one of the very popular areas and kind of an entry-level house. If you wanted to move to Palisades, this is the house you would get for, probably $4.5 million. Okay. So show me your girlfriend's house.
So it was right here where this black car is. I don't know who this car is, but it's stucco, so you can see. And this is it on the right. So this one. So obviously her bedroom was right above this. That's the garage. This was the foyer. And then she was upstairs right there. But obviously like this stucco, there's a lot of nails, so be careful.
Yeah.
We've already walked through and like we found a Leica camera that from her great grandfather, like an old metal Leica. And it's obviously doesn't work, but I mean, I was like, maybe you want this as a memory. It's a sad memory, but still. And then they found a few things, the safe. So like number one, like fireproof safe is super important. Thank God they had that. But obviously everything else is just gone. I guess the question is, the big question, like from your perspective and being an expert in this, what could we do in the future to prevent this? Is it just simply different building materials? What's...
There's so many things we can do to do it, and I don't know if it's going to be done, okay? Because right now, the big drive is going to be, let's get people back into their home, right? Rightfully so, okay? Let's make it easy for them to rebuild. Let's bring them back. Let's rebuild Palisades, all in good faith, in good energy, for good reasons, for the people who really need that support, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we're going to build the same exact structures with the same setbacks next to each other, okay?
It could happen again.
It could happen again,
Right.
right? So there needs to be, if we want to stop this, right? And fires like this could happen, every 50 years or 100 years, okay? So when you look that bad, you could say, like, screw that, like, we don't have to deal with it right now. It's going to be someone else's problem.
But if we truly want to stop it, then your setbacks, your water system, each house should technically have its own water reserve in case of smoke detectors. When you feel, or there's an emergency button that you press, that when you press it, water sprinklers go off on the roof. They get the house wet, they protect it.
I saw a house survived that had water, and people were putting sprinkler, like regular, a Walmart sprinkler.
Yeah, that works.
And it was helping.
That works.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that would have saved all of the houses, right? Because the fire that we got hit with, the combination of the wind were so strong that it was ridiculous. But I think site setbacks, building materials, vegetations between on the property lines or close to the building, right? Can catch fire and transfer the fire to the building, building material and fire safety systems, right? And making sure our reservoirs are full for the fire season.
The water, I don't claim to know all the details, but the reservoir was empty.
Going into the fire season, we should have had the reservoir full. Yeah. The reservoir had a problem with, I guess, it needed a cover where people were things were falling into it, or maybe people even falling into it. It was a safety hazard. So there's an issue with it that they had to drain. But you gotta prioritize the risks, right? At least you should have had it full for the fire season. Then you could have drained it. You could have fixed it for the next season. That should have been done. That was a complete error as far as error of judgment and decision making on behalf of whoever who was in charge or department that was in charge of that, right?
Right.
As for Palisades, it's gonna come back, okay? This is one of the most desired neighborhoods in LA.
It really is. It's an amazing neighborhood.
It's perhaps the most desired neighborhood, actually. Yeah. It's not just a desired neighborhood. I would rate it as the most desired because you're right next to the ocean, right? You're on the ocean on one side. You had a village, small feeling, vibe and energy that almost no other neighborhood could have matched. Mm-hmm. You had great schools. You had just the idyllic LA life, right? Without the traffic, without the hustle and bustle of the town. But the sad news is going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be the same Palisades. It's going to be changed because you got to think about the people who lost their homes, right? Yeah. Big chunk of them were retirees, okay? Yeah. And they're evaluating it right now. Are they going to build it or are they going to sell it?
Because this is going to take 3 years to rebuild, probably.
I think in 5 years, Palisades is going to look 50% full, okay? In 7 years, it's going to look 75% full. In 10 years, will be full recovery. That's my guesstimate. Yeah. Okay. But there's a lot of decisions happening right now with people who live here, right? And a lot has to do with their, elderly. They're looking at how many more years I'm going to live. Mm-hmm. How many more years do I want to be in construction? Yeah. And once it's done, time is ticking for a lot of them. Unfortunately, towards the end of their life, they have to think what's the best way to spend their last years. Right. Is it better to spend 3 years negotiating and working with contractors, or just sell it, buy something else with it, and live the rest of your life, 10 years you have, peacefully, whatever, right? Then there's the middle bracket. The middle bracket, you got people with fat kids. Yeah. Schools is a huge factor for them, okay? Their life are completely disrupted right now. They're doing crazy drive from one neighborhood to another neighborhood to drop off the kids school. So I think the school decision for the kids is gonna dictate that, okay? Where are we gonna do, if we decide to rebuild in 3 years and the house becomes ready in 3 years, then in which school district or is my kid gonna be in an elementary or high school? Where do I want to be? When is the school going to be rebuilt, right? Yeah. So those decisions are very, very important. Then you have the overall encompassing decision that Palisades not going to be the same once it's all done, okay? There's going to be people who just literally have left, okay? Yeah. Have left. They're done with it. There are other reasons behind it too, but they've just left. Some have, from what I hear, a lot of people have moved to Manhattan Beach. That's been the number one destination. Mm-hmm. Then you have it across Santa Monica, Brentwood, Bel Air. Those are the top 5 areas that I hear. Also a little bit of Venice. But then when you're fast forwarding life, you're trying to think what would happen.
is like, okay, it would take me 3 years to build. When I finish, I'm gonna come out, the neighborhood is not gonna look the same.
No.
It's gonna be probably 70, 60% empty still, right? Do I wanna live in that neighborhood?
Yeah.
Right? It's not the same Palisades anymore, right? So 3 years to build, and then when you move in, you have another 5, 6 years.
It's a constant reminder of this.
Yep.
Is going to be. That's why
5, 6 years of
her
living right
parents
next
have
to.
moved.
Yep.
They've already bought a house.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
they had insurance.
Yeah.
That you've heard the horror stories.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
getting their insurance, State Farm
Yeah.
cutting them. So, thankfully, they had insurance.
Yeah.
And they went ahead and bought quickly because they're older, and they don't want to go through the 5 to 10 year hell.
Yeah.
That is this, and I don't blame them.
Do they want to sell the lot?
Huh? I have no. I
You
don't
have
know.
no idea.
I don't
Yeah.
know what their plan is
Yeah.
doing, and then
But
then
those are all the calculations,
Yep.
right? Like, okay, it's going to take me 3 years to rebuild it.
Yep.
Then it's going to look like from 3, 5, 7 years after that, it's just going to be under construction. It's not going to be the same vibe that you had before, right?
Right.
And then where are my kids in that time? Where they're going to go to school at? And then you look at, okay, some developers are going to come in, okay? Maybe developers are building, but then for developers, it's also a risky proposition because they're going to build simultaneously, and it's going to flood the market with new construction over here, right? So everything's going to be available. So if you have 40, 50 homes coming on the market, and they have not yet sold, okay? There's been very few transactions. I believe one sold, one in escrow.
Right.
But you're looking at the prices, they don't even reflect that a fire has happened here.
Right.
It's very, very high, right? So it's not really penciling in for developers.
Right.
As to, developers are in it to make a profit. And when you consider the risk factors that they need to consider, the fact that they need to deal with all the environmental aspects of it, construction costs, really high interest rates, construction mortgages, right? Construction rate loans. It's really, and then at the exit point, they're gonna have a lot of competition. So let's look at it as a developer's perspective, right? Property prices that are, the empty lots that are coming on the market right now, they're still like priced as if nothing has happened. Right? And I see much bigger discounts happening for the actives on the market in this neighborhood because it doesn't pencil for developers, right? I don't think the finished product will be worth as much as it would have been before the fires if they would do new construction.
So you think that the value of these properties finished, rebuilt, will be less than they were because...
If you snap your finger right now, 100%.
Yeah.
See, it depends of how the neighborhood is going to look like when that property comes on the market, what the interest rates will be at that point, right? And how many other brand new constructions are going to be in the market. So supply, right? How many developers have flipped homes? If you see 500 new constructions hit the market at the same time, at a time where interest rates are still 7, 8%, and half of the neighborhood still looks like a war zone, that's not good, right? It's like other neighborhoods don't have that problem.
Right.
So unfortunately, we're going to see a price adjustment, right? Or fortunately for people who want to buy, very unfortunate for people who lost their homes, like your girlfriend's parents, right? The prices have to adjust to take into effect the risks associated to rebuilding.
Right. Yeah. It's just sad. There's no like quick answer to, it's going to take a while to rebuild and it's really changed things. I just hope that LA can be prepared for this in the future, like another 50-year fire. That's,
Look, I don't think there's anything you could do to help you with a fire of this much. I think even at the best circumstances, we would have had the 50 or 40% of the damages done. Because from what I saw the next day, half of the city was still burning. Like I drove these streets while this was still burning, and you could feel the heat from inside the car, windows closed.
Right.
So I don't know if you could do a lot, but you could have mitigated 50% of this. If you look at it, the commercial zoning is like a little island. You can show it in a bird eye view on the Google Maps, okay? It's not attached to other properties. So if there's a fire going on,
it doesn't. It's not right next to it where it would start burning.
a buffer.
Right? There's a buffer zone of streets. That's buffer zone. That
Right.
protects you.
Right.
Because the asphalt's not going to burn in that fire.
Right.
So you're getting the protection, right? Where you don't get the protection is like this is the property line,
Yeah.
right here, right?
Yeah.
There is no separation,
Yep.
right?
These lots are really small.
yeah. So you just fire jumps. The fire, as far as the fire is concerned, it's the same building,
Yes.
right?
Yep. Like look at the two. Here's an example. Look at the two the
Chimneys.
chimneys side by side.
Yep.
That close together. Of course, yeah, it treated this like one building, and I thought these would be a buffer zone. I actually thought it might be okay, but apparently
it comes from the ones
the
next to it.
embers jumped from one street to the next.
They do. The embers do jump from street to street, but what's guaranteed, that kind of becomes the game of like roulette, right?
Yeah.
Like a Russian roulette, is it going to land on me or not?
Yeah.
But what's guaranteed is that when your setbacks are so close and it's full of vegetation, if your neighbor's house is burning, your house is burning.
Right.
Like it's almost a 70-80% chance that as you can see, almost 100% chance they
Right.
all got burned, right? Because of that close proximity. So in a way, the fire discriminates against your wealth. Let me explain. If you look at Huntington, south of Sunset is a more expensive neighborhood where you have wider setbacks, okay? And if you pay attention, the fire stopped halfway through it. And where it stopped actually is pretty much the dividing factor where the houses even get more expensive. Okay?
So bigger lots.
Bigger lots, the way the house sits on the lot and how much side setback you have, that's a buffer.
Yeah.
That stops the fire. Over here, as expensive as this is, $4.5 million,
Yeah.
if you show this neighborhood to someone living in Mississippi, they
Right.
would say the houses are like 300,000-400,000 max.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So as far as look-wise, streets width-wise, the aesthetics, the type of homes, the look of the homes, it's not it's a luxury neighborhood. It happens to be a very luxury neighborhood because of its location and how much people desire it. But as far as the lot quality, lot utilization, house, the way the house sits on the lot, I would consider it an affordable neighborhood
Right.
in Palisades or anywhere else.
Yep. Well,
I'm so sorry.
No, it's
though, by the way,
yeah.
I get a little bit technical sometimes
yeah.
and nerd out on the technicalities.
Is there any anything like closing thoughts with this that come to mind, or anything question wise that you think needs to be addressed with the fires, with the Palisades, or anything?
I think if you are a seller, sell as soon as possible because prices are coming down.
Okay.
If you're a buyer, wait a lot longer.
Right.
Yeah, prices are going
to come back to the Palisades.
Residential real estate prices fluctuate very slowly. So I'm not surprised that prices have started being listed, even one transaction at a pretty high price at where they left off, because that's the sentiment.
Right.
That's when you create a new comp, when a new sale happens, right? Then becomes a comp. And then the one after that is like, oh, did you see it came down 5%? I'm going to negotiate 5% under that.
Yeah.
Then it keeps going down till it finds a bottom.
Right.
So if you're a seller, list it now. If you're a buyer, don't buy right now.
Okay.
I guess the closing thought is that unexpected things do happen,
Yeah.
right? You don't think they're gonna happen, but unfortunately they do. It could be a fire, it could be a flood, it could be an earthquake. When we go to work every day, you don't think 7.9 Richter scale earthquake could happen today.
Right.
But it absolutely could. In the lurk of danger we live, a lot of times we don't notice it, we don't feel it. We go into autopilot, right? Till it does happen, and then we're shocked. We are saddened. We're frustrated. And it does feel unfair. And the number one thing I've heard from the residents who are out of this, surprisingly, is that the magnitude of what has actually happened
in a way, in a very weird and twisted way, is a calming thing, that they're not in it by themselves.
Yeah.
There's a sense of community
Yeah.
that they feel like it's not one of those cases that where you say, why me,
Right.
right? In a very weird, twisted way, because more people have been affected, each individual feels that the burden, the pain has been equally shared with all their loved ones, their babysitters, their teachers,
Yeah.
their neighbors. There's a soothing, calming sense to that from what I've spoken to the locals. I will leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah, I hope. I've seen the community coming together, and I think, it's going to be a painful experience, but they're, not alone for sure. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, Arvin, brother, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, your everything.
Thank you.
Not just
Thank
your
you for
advice
having
and
me.
expert, but
We should do this more.
yeah.
I really enjoyed critiquing a house in person.
I think I opened up a can where maybe you do more of those
I should.
in person.
I think.
But who's going to give you access?
I think subscribers should. It's free advice. I'll do it for free.
Okay,
If
there you go.
If you would want,
Give me your house.
Otherwise, it would cost you, tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
I would do it for free.
Just give me your house.
If my subscribers, I will critique their house in front of them and give them
Awesome.
tips to fix it.
Awesome. And if you want to watch the video where he critiqued our mansion that we rented for today, you can click it. It'll be popping up right here, and you can check that out where we had some fun with that. But thank you so much, Arvin.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for another episode of the Unexpected Podcast, the world's first experiential podcast. I'll see you guys very soon.
Take care.